Now we come to the more typical exam-like questions for congruency. Just take note that for this sign with the triple line, it means something. This sign means congruent to. So it's a sign of congruency. And they give us that these two shapes are congruent to each other. Now, because of this statement is so powerful because it can tell me which points are similar to which. For example, A is corresponding to P. So A is the same point as P. Second one, B corresponds to Q. So I can highlight B and Q with the same color. C corresponds to R. So C is the same as R. And D corresponds to S. So D is the same as S. Why I'm doing this is so that I can see which lines and which angles are the same to each other. And because I have the lengths of my first figure, I can transfer it over to the other figure. Like this. Now we are ready to answer some questions. Part 1, PQ equals to AB. And note how P corresponds to A and Q corresponds to B. So really the order matters. And because of my labeling, I can clearly see that P, Q, and AB are both 5 cm. Now for part 2, I look at line SR. And SR is congruent to which line? It corresponds to DC, 6 cm. Do you think I can put the answer CD? Well, if you put CD, it will be wrong. Because as what I said, the order of the letters matter. So you need to know that S corresponds to D and R corresponds to C. Now with this understanding, please fill out part 3 to part 5. So please check your answers for all these. For part 3, we need to show whether each pair of triangles are congruent. Well, two triangles are congruent when they have the same shape and same size. So if you look at part 2, what do you think? Are these two triangles congruent? I think we can clearly see that in part A, both these triangles do not have the same size. So we can clearly state no, they are not congruent because both the triangles do not have the same size. For part B, looks like these triangles have a chance to be congruent, meaning same shape and same size. But we need to show exactly how. So can you see which points correspond to which? We can use highlighters. For point D will be similar to which other point? It will be point T because both of them have the same angle, 80 degrees. How about for point F? Point F will be corresponding to point U because it's between 6.13 cm and 5.39 cm. Lastly, let's check whether E is the same as S. Well, it looks like they are between the same lengths, 4 and 6.13. So because of this, let's write the statement of congruency. So we write the statement on congruency. Your triangle DEF would be corresponding to TSU. And the labeling is very crucial. So please check that the labeling is correct and the points are corresponding to each other. It looks like they only gave us 2 angles and 1 length for each of the triangle. And they look almost about the same, but how do we show that they are not? So since they have given us 2 angles, can we find the third angle in each triangle? Are their angles the same? Well, I think we can clearly see that they both do not share the same angles. So that will be our reason. Our final conclusion, no, they are not congruent because they do not have the same angles.